So let's first start with the hue and saturation adjustment layer. What I'm going to do is zoom in to the area of issue, and as you can see here, I have a redness to the whole area here, over here, in here, and I'm going to create a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and since it's red that I'm looking at, I'm going to select reds, and you'll notice that this eyedropper is sampled, or is selected automatically. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to pick the most offensive red, which is going to be right there. And you see how when I did that, when I clicked right there, let's do it a couple other places. As I move here, you can see how this shifts as I move it to different areas. So I'm going to select that area right there. Now I'm going to select the minus eyedropper, and I'm going to go to an area of good skin tone, and I'm going to select that, and you'll notice that this band right here narrowed. Okay, so let's zoom out, and I'm going to take the hue all the way to this side. And you see how this now shows up? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to shrink that band, this area here, and it's going to tighten the reach. Now that I have that, I'm going to move this back over here, and I'm going to start to adjust this until I remove all of the red. And let's take a look at what happens if I lighten or darken it. And I think what I want to do is just leave it right where it is. Let's also take a look at what happens if I increase or decrease the saturation. That doesn't do anything either. So what I've done here is I've now adjusted the hue and saturation so that I've taken away that red cast. See, before, after. So what we're going to do is call this red cast. Now that I've neutralized the color, as you can see here, I'm going to fill the layer mask with black, and I'm going to set the opacity at 50% by hitting the keyboard command 5 with the brush tool here. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to brush this whole area out right here. Selecting the fade brush tool, I can either increase or decrease, but I can pick exactly what it is that I want. So I have a tendency to always use 50% and then dial in what I want, which right about there, 59% looks right. The way that I work is I work hot, which is the same way that Mac Holbert works and John Paul Caponegro works, and pretty much everybody I know that really is on the top of their game. What they do is they go to an extreme and retreat to a usable position. That we tend to do things a little bit more and then back in, or do things in the middle and then move up. So what you're seeing is workflow efficiency. I don't know exactly what it is that I need, and there's no way that I can predict what it is that I'm going to need. There was no way that I would know if it was 58%, 62%, 23%. So I set my brush at 50%, brush in the area that I want, and then using my eye, move back and forth until I find the position that I need or the look that I want. That I go to an extreme and I retreat to a usable position. Back and forth, that I work hot, that I have more than, I do a little bit more than I think I want, so that I have enough wiggle room should I need more to be able to go there, and if I need less, I can change it through opacity. So let's move on to the rest of this image. So we've got that, looks like here. Let's shrink our brush. Come in here and smooth that out. Again, using the fade brush tool. Looks right about there again. Let's come across here. And do we need to tap this just a hair? Nope, think not. So no. Let's come back in here and even that out. just a hair. Click OK. And then back up here as well. So now let's take a look at our actual layer mask. See that? Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to address a couple of these issues here so I have a nice even mask. One of the things to keep in mind is that layer masks work in the grayscale, and that the darker the gray, the less that is allowed through, and the lighter the gray, the more that is allowed through. The 80-20 rule. Black conceals, white reveals, and if you do a thing and you want to reveal 80% and conceal 20%, you leave the layer mask white, you paint with black in varying levels of gray. If you want to conceal 80% and reveal 20%, you fill the layer mask with black and you paint with varying levels of gray, light to dark or dark to light. So the lighter the gray, the more that is allowed through to white. The darker the gray to black, the less that is allowed through. All right. That's important to keep in mind for one reason. Layer masks work in the grayscale. So what we've done is we've made our choices based on opacity, and now we're going to fix the layer mask based on color. We're going to approach it as gray as color now. So I'm going to select my opacity at 100%, keyboard command 0, and if I hold down the Option key, do you see how I get the eyedropper? I'm going to sample this color. And if we look real closely right here, what you should see is that that color, let's zoom back out, was sampled. So now that I've got that, let's move this over here just so we can see it. I'm going to come in and I'm going to just paint in that area. And I'm going to paint in this area here so that I can get that nice even blend. The nice thing about doing it this way is I can go over and over and over and over and over again because I'm working with opacity and not have, or working with a solid color and not have to worry about 25% of 25% is 4%, 50% of 50% is 25%. So if I go over something I did at 50%, at 50% again, it'd be like I was at 75%. That I can come in here and I can just tighten up these masks. And that here, let's sample this color, I can smooth out that overlap that you see right there. And that what I've got now is a nice uniform layer mask that when I click on here, if we turn before and after, and if I so choose, what I can now do is I can back that down just a hair. See that? So I can come in and get just the right amount. And I'm going to say that that is perfect for my needs. That I'm always going to an extreme and I'm retreating to a usable position.